Hey there, in this video, we're going to talk about using free stuff as a sales tool. Now, who doesn't like free stuff? Who doesn't like to get something of value that they just don't have to pay for? But free stuff doesn't mean something of value that people just don't have to pay for. There is an entire psychology over giving free giveaways to clients that make them go gaga even for things that don't have value. Author Dan Ariely noted in his book, Predictably Irrational, people will knowingly change their behavior patterns and are more willing to comply with your call to action when something free of charge is offered. Whether it's a free keychain or a BOGO deal of which they didn't need in the first place, free items, whether they need them or not, always trigger a cultural response. This is an emotional response which is very strong and is not to be taken lightly. There is a fine line between using a giveaway as a call to action and manipulating the market to respond to your pitch. What we are examining simply in this video is why this marketing tool works. In marketing, the word free engages a potential client in what has been called the zero price effect. What this means is consumers calculate the risk of dissatisfaction against their cost of the service or product. However, when something is presented as free, this offer eliminates that risk. Amazon offers free shipping if you spend over a certain dollar amount. Now, I myself have always fallen victim to this because a lot of the times my Amazon cart only reaches a certain dollar amount and then there's a shipping fee involved. However, if I spend just another $12, I can save $10 in shipping. So I end up buying yet another item for that $12. In the end, Amazon got another $2 out of me. And if you think about that, for 1 million customers in 3 months, that means Amazon now has $2 million gross for that quarter. And all they did was offer free shipping. Now, this strategy doesn't exactly apply to this company's business model, but it still shows the psychology of people having strange responses to a stimulus like saying something is free. National studies have shown that the appeal for marketing experts to use promotional free giveaways is based on the principle that most people naturally want to reciprocate when someone else does them a favor. And sometimes reciprocating this favor is performed by complying with the other person's request. So more often than not, when a potential client acknowledges they are receiving something for free, it becomes culturally instinctual for him or her to want to pay you back in some way. When I was just getting started out in roofing sales, a friend of mine who spent 20 years in auto sales told me you should give a company branded pen with your business card every time you visit somebody at the door. So I decided to give it a try. So I took one of the branded pens, I gave it with my business card to the very next client that I had when I visited his home, and I told him, this pen is so you can make notes when we come to talk later. I did my inspection, we sat at the man's dinner table, and we went over the process after he signs the contract as to what an insurance claim would entail. During our discussion, this homeowner never even looked at me. As I went over the process, all he could focus on was the pen that I gave him. He twirled it around in his hand. He never looked at me once. He made notes here and there, but the point is, he was fixated on that pen. In the end, that gentleman signed his contract right there at his dinner table, and that was the very first instance of where I had a client who signed the contract upon first visit. To this day, I strongly feel it was that pen that inspired that client to sign my contract that day as a way to reciprocate before I actually left his house. Another story, I once had a lady client who was considering myself and another company to sign with. And although she was on the fence, we had a personal conversation about books that we have read. So the book that she had recently read was The Hunger Games. However, she didn't realize that there was 2 other books in the series, and I informed her of that. So knowing she was on the fence between myself and another contractor, I went to the store, I grabbed a copy of the next book in the Hunger Games series, and I left it on her doorstep. And then I texted her, hey, I left you a copy of the next book in that series. I hope you enjoy it. The very next day, the lady called me looking to sign my contract. Free stuff, free gifts do work more often than not because most people want to give back what you have or are giving them. So keep that in mind. Creating a sense of urgency is of utmost importance for a salesperson. While this company attempts to maintain the sales philosophy of the soft sell, we still have sales goals we aspire to reach. So creating a sense of urgency is always a way to make a client make a decision and sign your contract. And the use of free giveaways is one channel you can use to do that. Everyone has heard a sales promotion attached with the phrase "for a limited time." Just those words create a sense of urgency. Urgency is created by letting a potential client know if they wait to make a decision, they could potentially miss out on the offer you made them. Now, don't feel bad about using phrases like "for a limited time" or "act now" when attempting to get your clients off the fence to make a decision towards your contract offer. Although some of our free upgrades are standard at this time, costs of materials could change at any time, so there is truth to those phrases when you use them as a selling tool, even though those offers are not attached to a specific calendar timeline. At a roofing conference, I once met a national storm chaser who was very informative and had some great ideas that I hold to this day. But one of the things he used to do after a storm is he would go door to door during his door knocking, and he would do his inspection. He would come back to the homeowner and tell them what problems they had. He would push on them the urgency of getting that work done, but if they still balked and didn't sign his contract at that time, what he would do is give them 1-gallon buckets with the company he was representing, their logo on it, and says, "Here's your bucket, call me when your roof starts leaking." Now, while this company does not condone that kind of tactic, it is an extreme example of how creating urgency works. And it fit into the psychology of free stuff, because who couldn't use a bucket around the house? Also, when one of your leads grows cold, this is why it is a good thing to do a final touch with the potential client, asking if they have been taken care of or if they still need your help. With this, I usually say, if you don't need us, I'll go ahead and close out the profile we have on your property. Sometimes this creates a different kind of urgency, letting a cold client know we are about to pass on them. And sometimes this also makes them come out of their silence and either make their profile warm again or even sign your contract quickly. So whether you're putting your proposal together and noting what free stuff you're willing to put on their roof for their business, or if you're just getting to know your client and know what little gifts you can give them, understand that free stuff does have a lot of weight when it comes to trying to close your sale. Using free stuff is just one tactic, but it does work. Just make sure if you're going to use it ethically.